Life, my friend, Eastern wisdom says, is a celebration, and especially the human life. Why it is a celebration? Because we can discover our true nature, that is, of permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. Animal life and other living beings cannot recognize, become aware, or experience that pure consciousness, that existence. Why? They are governed and dictated by the animal instincts, they are pre-programmed. And due to the absence of intellect. The intellect is the highest faculty that we have as a human being. We take it for granted. And when you take it for granted, then what happens? The same mind becomes the cause of the suffering. What that mind is? That mind came from the animal kingdom. That mind which constantly desires and projects happiness outside in the world. So understand, when we say the life is a celebration, I need to discover that point from where the life becomes celebration. Do you have a choice for illness? Do you have a choice for anxiety? Do you have a choice for anger? Can you plan to be angry tomorrow at 10 a.m.? The answer is no. We don't have a choice for the problems, suffering, stress, duality, anxiety. But if I say, can you practice relaxation or meditation or mindfulness tomorrow at 10 a.m.? Yes, I can do it. Why not? You can be into anxiety and anger tomorrow at the same time. The moment that time comes, you become aware and you have a choice in the intellect. And because you become aware and the intellect has a choice, you cannot become angry. So two things. What are the two things? Awareness and intellect has an option to separate what is real and what is unreal, what is ignorance, what is wisdom, what will cause the suffering and what will not. Can I become angry consciously? I have asked thousands of people. How many people, how many of you become angry? Mostly 90% people raise their hand. Then I pick up one. Now, become angry. No, there is no reason. Let me give you the reason. And still you don't become angry, you start laughing. You start laughing. Look at the point of celebration. Awareness and the intellect makes a choice. It makes a right choice. What is right and good is taught by the Eastern wisdom through its principles. Because the science will always work in the relative field outside. It will never look at who am I. It has taken for granted that we are machine. There is a behavior model. There are many models. Machine model, behavior model. Then they go to DNA. They are good. Whatever they are doing is good. But here our search is how to make the entire life a celebration. What is celebration? What is celebration? You celebrate an event like birthday. So our master says, when you have that thought of having a celebration, an idea of a celebration of a birthday for a year, you feel little happiness. Then you start preparing. Preparing for it gives you little more happiness. No doubt, we all have experienced in our life. And when you are celebrating, it gives you extreme happiness. All the three levels of the happiness is nothing but the pleasure. Little happiness, thought, an idea, then your mind gets engaged in doing something else and you lost touch it. Then you are preparing for it, it gives you little more happiness. The mind is somewhere else, you lost that pleasure. That is why I say pleasure and happiness. Pleasure is always short-lived. It may last for a minute or 5 minutes or an hour. Perhaps not more than that. You cannot derive pleasure eating for more than an hour. Let us take that example. But the moment you have eaten it, you have enjoyed it, pleasure. So once you have celebrated the birthday, the next day what happens? You have hangover. You have not only hangover, but you also have fatigue in the tired. Oh, it took long time for me to prepare. See that? Celebration. Now another question comes, why we celebrate an event? We are missing something in our life. The mind is constantly engaged in personal, in professional, in social, in family life, and that engagement through the mind has a desire, and that desire is projecting the happiness outside, and including when you achieve something, you have a little bit of egoistic nature. So a lot of things. We miss that celebration, that state of happiness in day-to-day life. Morning, waking up, pressure. I have to go office to earn a wealth. Talking to the spouse has no meaning at all. Why? I have disliking for certain attitudes. I don't want to talk to the kids because they don't listen to me. The moment I enter into office, workplace, I hate my boss, but I want money, so I have to manage both. Continue hating, continue working, and working with some kind of a fear, anxiety. Celebration is gone. What we are understanding, celebration of life, not celebration in life. One thing is sure, that when I celebrate, I get the immense pleasure. Where? Inside me. It means there is something more, and I have to do to explore something more. That is the journey of the Eastern wisdom. You can say that is the journey of meditation, that is the journey of mindfulness. Buddha spent 40 years, perhaps a life of luxury. His master, his father, was scared that if he becomes the monk as predicted by an astrologer, who will take care of my kingdom? So he had his selfish motive. So since the childhood, his father, who was a king, so what he did, he created a palace of all kinds of pleasure. All kinds of pleasure that we can dream of even now. Women, wine, etc., everything was there. And he was enjoying all kinds of pleasure, repeated pleasure. No, we talk of repeated pleasure makes a habit and you get addicted, so then you are not at all concerned about the world outside. Does it really happen? It never happens. And that is what happened to the Buddha. Buddha was taken by a charioteer. In a chariot, he was visiting the entire kingdom, the cities and the villages in the kingdom. And he saw the old guy, crooked spine, walking with difficulty. You see, he has never seen, can you think of it, for 40 years he has never seen that a man grows, the body grows old, and it becomes difficult even to perform the normal activities of the life. He asked the charioteer, what happened to this guy? Everyone, I don't want to tell you, my master means the father of the Buddha has told me not to say anything. But it is a fact that everyone becomes old. Will I become old? Yes, you also become old, Prince. See that. If you have a right intellect, you start contemplating and reflecting on it. And when you contemplate and reflect, you know to separate, you filter out what is unreal, what is real, and your life, the goal of your life changes. First incident. As they were looking the kingdom, they saw a dead body. 4 people were carrying that dead body. Normally, in India, you have a horizontal platform made up of the bamboo on which you put the dead body and the 4 people carry on the street and take it to the cremation ground. A lot of people are moving from behind. What happened to this guy? He died. What do you mean by death? He is no more. What do you mean by no more? Everyone has this fate. Nobody can escape death. So I will be no more? See that. Now, same Buddha, who was enjoying all kinds of pleasure, we normally say, the science says if you are repeating pleasure, ultimately you become addicted to it. That's why refrain from any kind of objects that makes you addict. 40 years. The intellect, the moment you start contemplating and reflecting, questioning the very pleasure, very pain, you raise your awareness. So the Buddha raised its awareness. I will also die. Yes, Prince, I don't want to say. Your father told me not to say, but that is a fact and truth. I cannot hide the truth. We see people are dying due to coronavirus every day. we see or we hear or we read the news, it doesn't make any difference to us. Our intellect is totally polluted. We don't want to raise our awareness and think for a moment, contemplate for a moment, that this life is nothing but between the birth and the death. That much we know. We don't know the life before birth, we don't know the death. We don't know the life after the death. We don't know the two corners, two banks of the life. Whatever little we know in between. And what we do in between? Likes and dislikes, anxiety and anger. The life is so short. 100 years? Do you think 100 years is such a long life? If it is really a long life, compare this with how many millions of years the earth was born? Compare those millions and billions of years as compared to 100 years. That is not even more than a fraction of a second that we call 100 years we have lived. We experience we lived 100 years because the mind is constantly engaged in likes and dislikes, reaction and anxiety and anger, stress and suffering, pain, pleasure, victory, defeat, profit, loss. That mind engages us. Today we have a profit. Let us do more. So the greed inside pulls my life unconsciously and I feel, oh, I'm living my life. Loss, let me work little more. And the other group of people say, no, I'm totally frustrated. So then I go to a doctor to get treatment of my anxiety and the stress. What kind of a life we are living? We don't think of it. Life, whatever little we know, is in between the birth and the death, and whatever the life that we are living in between the birth and the death, can I say, consists of likes and dislikes, profit and loss, victory and defeat, pain and pleasure, hate and love. Can I say our life is a sum of mathematical equation? Human life is equal to few emotions moving in opposite direction, few thoughts moving in opposite direction, few sets of behavior, few sets of actions that I sometimes I don't like, few cherished desires, fulfilled or unfulfilled, few sets of relationship, liking, disliking, leaving, dropping. Is this the life? What will we say? Do we say this is the life? The great masters asks these questions. Is this the life? What I want in my life, I don't get it. So the life continues. Struggle to get what I want. What I like, I don't get it. I like so many things. In relationship, material wealth and the house and the car and long list. What I want, I don't get it. What I get, I don't like it. So what I get, I don't like it. It means the mind says, here are the list of desires. Let me complete it in my life. So my life continues unconsciously. The great master Patanjali says yearning to live, intense desire to live, is present in every human being, whether one is Bill Gates or one is a beggar on the street. Just check it. So that yearning, intense desire to live is nothing but a movement of desire. What I want, I don't get it, hence I should make an effort, or I should be depressed. That very state of depression also continues the life. And after some time, the depression gets less, and then I do some activities, and then again the same stuff begins again. Before entering into meditation, living a life of peace and happiness, I have to ask these questions to my life. When I ask these questions, what happens? I raise awareness in the mind. And I understand this is what I have been living. That is what I explained. What I want, I don't get it. So desire. What I get, I don't like it. So what I like, I have to pursue through the desire. What I like, the funny thing in the life, what I like, it doesn't remain forever. I like my honey. I love my honey intensively. For example, the honey leaves the life in the middle. I like my car breaks down. So what I like, is it right and good? Is it worth liking? We don't ask these questions. Because we don't ask these questions, so desire continues from one desire to the other desire, to the third one, to the fourth. Can we say our life is nothing but desires? We don't know from where these desire comes. No, I know it, you may say. And desire springs me into action. Action engages my mind and the life into different activities. Action always has some kind of a defect. It is not a perfect action. Anytime, all the time. So because of that defect, I desire again. And that desire comes from ignorance. What is that ignorance? Incomplete knowledge. I desire to eat pasta to be happy. You desire to drink a cup of coffee to be happy. Why we have two different objects to fulfill my desire to be happy? Is happiness in the coffee or is happiness in the pasta? We all have more or less different desires, different magnitude, different quality, different quantity. So from where that desire comes? It comes from avidya. Master says it comes from ignorance. We live our life, or I would say desire lives our life. When the desire lives our life, nobody in the world can help you to end the suffering and ignorance in my life. I will continue to suffer. That is 100% sure. If the desires are living in my life, it is because of desire living in my life that causes the mind to wander. So we don't go to the root cause of the distraction, the wandering nature of the mind. We say, no, my mind has lot of desires. How to control those thoughts? Thought is nothing but, it points to the desires. Don't agree with me. Pick up a thought, become aware of their thought, find the motivation behind the thought, you'll find the desire. From drinking a glass of water, eating pasta in a restaurant, to have the sexual pleasure, to earn money, to go to the restroom, find out every thought. It has a desire. No, going to the restroom is natural. Don't go to the restroom. What are the other thoughts will enter into your mind? Oh, the bladder will be full, and if I continue to hold it, it will create a discomfort. So what is the desire now? Desire to keep the body at ease and comfort. It must be emptied. Desire lives our life. We don't live with desires. We don't live with desires. What should we do? So the Master explains that we should be clear about the goal of life, not the goals in life. We should carry forward the goals in life. What is the goals in life? To have certain skill sets in the childhood until the youth. Entering into the family, professional and social life, we have certain desires, earning wealth, living in relationship. Okay, that's good. Now I have lived, frustrated or happy. What is the third stage of the life should be? I should take stock of every moment that I have lived and to filter out what is not required now. To pursue the goal of life. That is the third stage. We are going to talk in detail and understand what are these stages of the life. So what happens in the third stage of the life? You take stock of those, all the desires fulfilled, which are unfulfilled, still the desires continues. The third stage of the life, Master says, at least even for half an hour. Start even for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Let the entire world go to hell. Go to hell means that you leave aside the world outside. Look inside. Drop everything, what is desired, what is fulfilled, what is not fulfilled. So the Masters say that life is life of Vanaprastha, forest dwellers. Why? After living the life of youth and the professional, social, family life, social life, I still experience that state of happiness is not there, the state of calmness is not there, even if I have everything in my life. Can you imagine? So now I want to explore what lies behind all the desires, fulfilled or not fulfilled, before I create another desire. Logical step. That is the third stage. So even if you do it for 10-15 minutes every day, no world, no relationship, no home, no wealth, nothing outside. Let me see. my life as it is, in the absence of everything in the world. So indicated by forest dwellers. What you do? You sharpen your intellect, you raise your awareness, you reflect on it. Naturally, it opens the gateway to the purpose of life. What is the purpose of life? You enter into the fourth stage, the life of self-discovery. Only then the meditation will succeed. Now you have realized in the third stage that all these desires coming and going, creating conflict, likes and dislikes, victory and defeat, profit and the loss, that has been the nature of every desire. Can I go beyond all these desires? The moment, even for few minutes, you sit every day. Let me leave everything of the world outside, mentally, psychologically. Man has less problem at the physical level, and our psychology in the modern age is deplorable. Our discovery, applications of the science and technology is remarkable, no doubt about it. But our psychology is deplorable. The outer space is full of riches. Inner space is full of poverty. There is an inner bankruptcy at the cost of outer riches. So third stage of the life helps us. Third stage of the life helps us to move in a right direction. So once our mind is clear, the intellect becomes pure, it points to the existence. Is this the life? Once you are clear that these movements in the mind always causes suffering, and even if it causes the pleasure is short-lived. Once the mind is clear, the intention becomes clear, your mind will stop wandering and you can enter into the fourth stage of life, that is life of a self-discovery. We have reached to the top with a little understanding. Question is, I'm living a family life, social life, personal life, professional life. I have a relationship. I have go to attend a celebration of my relations, of my friends. Should I leave everything and devote all the time in meditation? No. Should I stop earning? Because that also engages the desire. Sometimes I get a profit and sometimes I get a loss, sometimes pain, sometimes pleasure. Should I leave that? No. What should we do? So our master says that examine the entire life and classify the entire life into 4 different stages. First, understand the traditional way of living the life suggested. It is not mandatory. So first stage of the life means, since starting from the birth until the youth, we should devote that first part of the life, first stage of the life for knowledge. So the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom, goal is self-discovery, knowledge of the material world to gain some skill sets in a direction whatever we like. We want to be an engineer, doctor, some professional. So we should get that skill set and the knowledge from the material world. And the knowledge of the self-discovery from the Eastern wisdom. Now see, the mind is clear. There is an inner growth and there is an outer growth. Now you have balanced that, your intellect and the mind. The intellect has raised awareness. The moment desire overpowers you, those principles of the Eastern wisdom, because you have the right knowledge that triggers your mind. Don't go there. Don't move in that direction. Find out the right desire. Follow that life. That you learn. That is the first stage of the life. And the second stage, then you enter into a family life, relationship, social life, professional. And internally it is guided by the principles of Eastern wisdom. You know how to live a social life, how to live a family life, how to live a professional life, how to live a social life. Your 100% clarity is there. So nothing in the mind causes any ignorance. Second stage of life. So there are certain principles to follow, to introduce in the family, professional, social life to minimize the suffering. Third stage of the life I have just explained. Now you have lived that family life, professional life, social life, and mind says, I'm yet to discover the permanent happiness. I may fall back. I may start entering into anxiety, duality, and a conflict. My mind projects the future, what will happen? I'm lonely. A lot of stuff. No doubt, one may have a wonderful family life, means the spouse, and I'm over 50 and 60, and now I know that, I have enough wealth to live with it. Now mind follows the same habitual routine. It gets clinging to the spouse, and it doesn't want the spouse should leave, and the spouse is suffering from the illness, and he leaves early or she leaves early, and I get into stress. What should I do in the third stage of life? Not to escape the loneliness, but understand what is that loneliness. What? How this loneliness in the mind should not dominate with the same old stuff, going to the people, getting engaged, entering into a conflict, returning home, and next day, after a few days, again doing the same stuff. So third stage of the life demands a contemplation and reflection beyond all the likes and dislikes and desires. That is the third stage of the life. I have lived with people. Your mind says, I have lived with a lot of people. I love them. They left me. Or I developed a disliking for it. All those stuff we discuss and understand clearly in the third stage of the life. So there are certain principles to live the third stage of the life. And the fourth stage of the life is to be totally absorbed into meditation, awakening. Now go back from where we started the celebration. Life should become a celebration. First thing If we understand these four stages of life, second thing, we understand what are the equipment and the instruments to fulfill our desires at every stage in life. And we should check and recheck what is right desire, what is wrong desire. So the Eastern wisdom says in the first stage of the life and the second stage of the life, we have 8 principles to follow. We'll discuss in the future. I'm laying a foundation, 8 principles that refines our thought, speech, action, attitude, behavior, personality, to minimize the suffering first. These 8 principles also helps us to prepare for the third stage of the life. Taken for granted, we live for 100 years, or our obligation towards the family has completed. What should I do? I'm living alone. Maybe, just take an example. Or I'm still living in the same family with the spouse. And still I have to ask myself, I have fulfilled all the obligations. Am I pulling my life? Or should I find the meaning in the life? So we have the 4 principles for third stage of the life. 8 principles for first 2 stages. That clears the ground, so that you know how successfully you can live family, professional, social life. Third stage, you have 4 principles by which you understand, you prepare for a higher stage of life. What is the higher stage? To make the entire life a celebration. And the 4th stage of life is to be totally absorbed into meditation. Your goal is to succeed in meditation. What means by succeeding in meditation? You awaken to a presence inside, behind and beyond the mind. What will happen when I awaken to that presence? Once you awaken to that presence, you have a glimpse that it is of the nature of permanent peace and happiness, love and wisdom. Once you have a glimpse of it, would you want to leave it? That is the first success of meditation, the real success of meditation. What people feel, I have anxiety, let me do mindfulness. Byproduct of meditation is relaxation, calmness and peace. They are byproduct. If you want to relax through meditation, yes, you can. You want to manage your stress, you can. They are byproducts. But actual is to awaken to that presence. What is that presence? It is the presence. You can say it's my true nature. But the journey of the meditation has not finished. So once you awaken to that presence, then you grow into the presence by regular practice, living with the teacher, understanding the higher aspects. You grow into the presence means what? You allow that presence to work through your thought, speech, and action in your life day to day. So what is going to happen? That presence is of the nature of peace, happiness, love, and wisdom through the thought, speech, and action. Now going out, what will happen? It will have an impression of that presence. What do you mean by that? Previously, when someone said you something, You were angry, but now that presence, through the thought, speech, and action, being expressed in relationship or living your life, drops that anxiety and anger. And it reveals the right knowledge, what to say, how to say, how much to say. Sri Aurobindo, the great master, says it is a process of spiritualization. Don't relate the spiritualization with any religion, dogma, belief, and cult. This is just for the sake of expression. So now what is going to happen? Every time you are interacting in the world with people, with objects, with a play, in place, in time, in event, that presence is there naturally, going through the thought, speech, and action, expresses in the world, where you live, move, and act. What used to happen in the beginning? Desire was living in the mind. Now, that presence makes the life beautiful, a celebration. You're still living with the right desire. You are still living with what is right and good. Your expression changes. That desire living in us is constantly pulling us outside, so you have millions of thoughts. Now, no thought. Everything is clear. Did we complete the journey of mindfulness or meditation? No. Third stage, transformation. Many habits are at the physical level. Even if you don't intend to do it, the body moves in that direction unconsciously and habitually. So transformation is that journey by which you transform all those habits, attitude, behaviors, and release all the accumulated impressions, so that the entire life becomes a celebration. In order to make the entire life a celebration, these 4 stages of the life should be understood and introduced as 4 basic steps every day. First stage is the life of knowledge and understanding. You already living a professional life, you know everything, you have the skill set in the professional life. But how to live into that peace and happiness even in that professional, social, and family life, we need to understand the principles. So just 10-15 minutes every day. We should recall 8 principles to have that we are going to cover in the future. So 8 principles or 8 steps to have a harmony in the personal, professional, social life. 8 principles. What we should do? 10 to 15 minutes. We should recall, remember, understand these 8 principles. Or you can say 8 steps. As explained by a great master, Shankaracharya, in Sadhana Panchkam. Then more or less I would say 4 principles we have to contemplate and reflect and live in those 4 principles every day. Can you give 1 hour, half an hour in the beginning? Enough? Maybe an hour in the beginning? One way to do it. And second way, that you allow those 4 principles in by which your mind lives 24/7. Means that knowledge, those steps are you are living in your mind, inside. Is it possible, yes? No, it is not possible. How is it not possible? Do you have in your mind that you have to go to your friend's house after an hour? Yes. That much knowledge, that much awareness is required. You have an Siddha. And then we have another 12 steps by which we know how to succeed in meditation and mindfulness. And after that, we have another set of 24 steps to transform our entire life, to make the entire life a celebration. So, how many principles are there? Total 40 steps. It is difficult to remember the 40 steps. How many steps are there to start a car and drive on the road? You have more than 40 principles. Don't you think so? Check it. Steering, paddle, brake, rear view, front view, lane, go on, tires, fuel, go on, driver's seat. By default, you know, to drive a car, you're a driver, driving license, insurance. Just giving a simple example. Even preparing a cup of tea, you apply those principles. Are you confused in preparing a cup of tea? Don't say that these 40 principles are tough to remember, difficult to remember. How can I live? It's better to live the way I'm living in stress and anxiety and fear. Don't say that. Did you experience the challenges when you first sitting in a driver's seat and started driving? That happens. That happens. So once you don't even need to think of those rules of the driving and the skills of driving a car, it is revealed. It is with you, is it not? So once you start the journey and you follow these 40 steps, let the time come when it is revealed what is required at a particular stage, event, time in life. Sadhana Panchkam. What is sadhana? To just remind you, remember this. Now I'm feeling anxious. Is it desired or not desired? I know it is not desired. So let me stop thinking of the anxiety for a while. Because it is not desired. Do you start thinking of the garbage that you need to throw out? You just put it. Done. We have a chronic anxiety because the mind does not stop thinking of anxiety, of fear, of reaction, of hatred, of jealousy. So I was explaining about the sadhana, the practice. Literal translation is a practice. So can I become aware 24/7, the true essence of the sadhana? Sadhana means first to know what is desired and what is not desired. Means what is not desired is a garbage. Throw it to the garbage bin. Where is the garbage bin? Inside my head. What is that garbage? That is a part of the ignorance. Ignorance is the garbage bin, and what is not desired are the stuff. Oh, I'm living in ignorance, incomplete knowledge. That is why I have an anxiety. You think like this. That is one way to think, and the other way to think is, I have an anxiety. What should I do? Let me take a cup of tea. I'm still in anxiety. Let me close my eyes. Let me sleep. And you don't get a sleep, you increase your anxiety. Oh, somebody called me. I'm scared. No, I'm not interested in talking to you now. The other gets upset. Am I dealing with anxiety? So sadhana, practice, means what is not desired, drop it. What is desired, increase it. I want peace. I want to live in peace. Am I in peace now? Calm now? Yes, I'm in calm and peace now. Okay, let me stop thinking and see that calmness and peace continues. So from one moment, second, it continues. No, it is broken. What broke that continuity? Some thought. Thought contains the desire. Desire is living my life. That is the cause of the problem. So sadhana, the practice continues 24/7. Not when I come and give you a session, it continues 24/7, my friends. So sadhana means, but for that kind of a practice, I need to become a seeker. I should have an intense desire. You see, now I have a right desire. I should have an intense desire to discover who am I. And at the same time, you remember the principle coming from the Eastern wisdom that my essential nature is of the nature of permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. That is what is known as Satchidananda. I don't live in that permanent peace and happiness now. That is why I'm doing the practice. So constant reminding in your mind, 24/7. You use your stress and the suffering as an opportunity to remind. That makes you a seeker. Third point. What is the goal? Self-discovery. What is the result? End of suffering and entering into permanent peace and happiness. We'll talk in detail about those, starting with the 8 principles to live in peace and harmony by changing inside us. Those 8 steps, changes. First, it brings the change inside, and then it expresses in our attitude, behavior, thought, speech, and action, living a harmonious personal, professional, social life. Goal is to make the entire life a celebration. What it means by making the entire life a celebration? That permanent peace and happiness, love and the wisdom continues without break in your personal life, in your professional life, in your social life, in your family life, at every moment in your life. When we celebrate an event in life, event means it has a starting point, it has an end point. It ends after any kind of an event that is celebrated in the world outside. It has to come to an end. It gives me an immense pleasure. Last stage of a particular event, middle stage during the preparation, I enjoy and about thinking, it gives me a little pleasure. Preparing, it gives me more. And ultimately, when I'm in that event, it gives me immense pleasure. It may last for 5 minutes to 1 hour to a day, but after that we return to the same stuff again because the desire is living in us. So we live with the right desire at a particular stage of the life to make the entire life a celebration.